This video will show you how to use some of the graphing tools we've suggested for the course using the table of values from Assignment 2, Investigating Numerical Models. The first one we're going to use is GeoGebra. When I open GeoGebra, this is what the screen looks like. To get this screen, I clicked on Algebra, a Spreadsheet, and Graphics in the View option. And now I'm going to go back to the Unit 2 assignment, copy all the values from the table, and paste it into the spreadsheet for GeoGebra. Notice these first three did not appear. That's because we used, go back and look at the assignment, we have fractions here. We used equation editor, which GeoGebra does not recognize. So I'm going to have to type those in manually. This was negative 15 quarters, next one negative 7 halves, and negative 3. In order to graph in GeoGebra, I need to write these as ordered pairs, so I'm going to do that in this new column C. Ordered pairs are going to be inside brackets, as always. I'm going to tell the spreadsheet where to find the first value. That will be in A1. So this works exactly like a spreadsheet. And the Y coordinate is in B1. Press enter, there's my ordered pair. If I go up here and drag this little box all the way down, I now have all my ordered pairs. You can see that it graphed. You can also see I cannot see very many of these. So let's make that a little bigger. Up in View, I do not need to have probably the algebra bar. So I could go, click on my graph and go up here, click on Move Graphics View, and I could drag this wherever I want. So I could drag it down here to see some more points, but notice the points below disappear. Let's turn this off. If I right click anywhere on the screen, I have an XY axis in this little legend. These are all scale factors. I could change this to a scale factor of the Y value is going up 5 times as quick as the X, 10 times. Let's try 20 times. Now I can see almost all my points. The last one here, the point 360. Another option I have, right click again. Let's make sure I'm just on the graph, not that point. I can go down to Graphics. And in here I can change any of my X and my Y values. I can do the X-axis separately. Notice they're going up by 1s, that's fine. The Y-axis is going up by 20s. I may want to change that. Let's have the Y-axis maybe go up by 40s. And here, my minimum Y value, I don't need negative 104. Let's start at negative 10, but I do want to go past 124. So let's go to 130, close this, and now I can see all my points. In GeoGebra, there is a function called fit that I can type into the input that will allow me to do a curve of best fit, but unless I know exactly what kind of function this is, I can't use the fit. So we'll wait for that till we've done the algebraic models. But as we can see, this certainly looks like an exponential function. In particular, an exponential growth function. It has a y-intercept of 0,4, and I can see that also here in the graph. It has an x-intercept of negative 1, 0. I can see that here in the graph. And let's go back to our assignment. And for table number 2, we're going to use Desmos. So let's switch over to Desmos. I'm going to go up here, and I could add an f of x function, but we have a table, so I'm going to insert a table. which we want to start at -5. -4. Notice I can just keep hitting return. It recognizes my pattern of going up by 1s. Unfortunately, I cannot cut and paste here, so I need to go back and take a look at the values and input them myself in Desmos. So you have -450, -160, -36, and I believe we had some zeros, so 0, 2, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, and -16, -90, last two, -288. If you notice as I'm typing these in, some of them have been appearing on the graph, but not all of them. That's because my window is between -10 and 10, and for the y values between 6 and -6. I'd like to change my window, so I'll go up to Window Settings. You see that my x values are between -10 and 10. I can leave that, that's fine. But my y values need to go down to, let's say, -500. And the positive values, maybe just to 10. It's the highest one I have is only +2. So I'll close that. Whoops, didn't work. Let's go back and check why. -450 and 10. I would like to see what this looks like join these points. So here I can select this and hold it down, and I have a choice of a line that joins the points and choosing other colors if I wanted. So here I can see what this graph looks like. It looks like it might be a parabola, except we can see, let's pull it down a little bit, that this is not an intercept. And a parabola does not usually have 3 or 4 points as their maximum. They only have 1 point. Because of my new range for my y value, it's hard to see, but this is a little above the x-axis. But I do have an x-intercept here, and here, and here. And these show up in the graph. -2, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. Let's eliminate those. So this looks like it is not a trigonometric function. It's not a line, not exponential, so it's some kind of polynomial function, but I doubt that it's quadratic. The last one that we need to graph, table 3, and we're going to use Excel for table 3. So I can nicely copy this and paste it into Excel. So let's see, I'm going to move this up a little bit so I can see my Excel. There it is. So I'm going to select a spot to paste my values, right click, paste. Oh. There we go. There are our table of values. Now I want to insert a graph, and for our purposes we're always going to use a scatter graph. Before I do that, I need to select all these values, then go to scatter and pick the scatter plot that will join the points. There we go. So it is obvious from this, once I plot it, that it certainly looks trigonometric or sinusoidal. Just some tips in Excel. Notice that these x values are going up by 2s. My table is going up by 1s. If I double click here, I can change that. It says by fixed unit. Let's move this over. Major unit is fixed at 2. I want to change that to going up by 1s. And my axis is gray. Let's make that a little darker. So let's make that a solid color of black and a heavier line so I can tell it's the axis. And I'll close it off. Now it's going up by 1s. I could do the same with the y-axis anywhere on one of the values, double click. Notice it's fixed going up by ones. But let's look back at my table. I need some decimal values here, so let's let it go up by 0.5. Again, my line color I'll change to black, and the style make it a bit heavier so I can tell it's the y-axis. There we go. So we can see it looks like it has a minimum value very close to 1. That shows up in the graph here too. 1.18 at -2, and it's very close. Maximum looks like it's very close to 5, showing up at our table at 4.92 and 4.82. There are no x-intercepts. It's above the x-axis, but we do have this y-intercept here at 0.3, which shows up also in our table. So there is graphing 3 different ways.